Yes, guys, welcome back. Welcome back to another live stream. Welcome back to another, I say, beautiful day, cloudy day, but we're here. It's another W. Thomas Tuchel's got another 3 points. The treble is still in progress, still pending 5-10%, but we're still loading. Just to look on Craig's face, man.
Oh, Lewis, I love you.
We're back with another W. Big up to the panel as well for jumping on as usual. If you guys haven't done so already, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button as well. Check out Craig's channel, check out Lawrence's channel as well. The links are down in the description below, so guys, check it out. And yeah, first off, Lawrence, how's the last 24 hours been for you, bro?
Very good, very good. Another dub. That's all we need. Like, as much as we want to say, the second half wasn't as great as it could have been and whatever else. At the end of the day, we keep building momentum, which, especially ahead of Atletico, is a big deal. And also in the top four race for once, which I said, can't remember which stream. I do too many. Can't remember which one it was. But I said in one, usually when everyone else drops the ball, we usually fail to capitalize on it. At least that's been the story of this season and arguably last season as well. Even though by the end we managed to make top four, but it was still kind of like that all of last season and especially this season. And this time we didn't bottle it. We got a solid dub, could have been more than 2 goals. But hey, even Timo Werner got on the score sheet. Mateo Kovacic is looking like, I don't know, prime Zidane. But it's a madness. It's a madness, and I'm happy.
Yeah, like we are definitely going to delve in some of the individual performances because there was a lot more positivity to take out of that result as well. Like you already said, Timo Werner finally got his first goal, and I think 100 days since his last Premier League goal, which hopefully isn't going to take us long to get to the next one as well. But Craigo, chat to me as well. We spoke a lot on the phone, and we're going to delve into a few of the same points as well. But how's the last 24 hours been for you, bro?
It's been all right. Yeah, it's been good. I slept really well, which is fantastic. I think we all overslept actually, which was quite nice. And the views on the channel are a little bit below par, but to be honest with you, it's quite good because the fact that people only watch you when you are apparently losing and the views are slightly going down means that it must be a good day for Chelsea. So, swings and roundabouts. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, exactly. The retention is stronger, which means people actually want to hear more about the football and it's less of a rating and everything. And exactly like that, because the form's saying the same thing. We are back into the top 4 now. Is that our 6th win in a row or is it 5? I think it's 5 wins in a row. Yeah, 5 wins in a row. 5 wins.
5 wins in a row. 6
5
games
wins in a row under Thomas Tuchel. 6 games without a defeat as well. Everything's looking positive, and we're back in the top 4. Liverpool dropped down to 6th place as well, but we aren't going to talk about the teams around us because we know it's still a long season, and there's still plenty of points to be made, points to be lost as well. But Chelsea are doing their job as well. But the first thing I do want to delve into as well is the mindset, and this is something that me and Craig, we spoke a lot about on the phone into. We're happy, but we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because this is exactly the same sort of thing that we did under Frank Lampard as well, right?
It is, and to some extent, there are certainly some sort of similarities. The thing is just, I always look at it in the sense of I try to not be too hesitant of being happy or whatever because I don't really see the need. Like, I can't control whether Chelsea do well or whether they do badly. So when they do well, why should I stop myself from being happy? So, just enjoy it while it lasts and hope it lasts as long as possible, really. I mean, that's my take on it because, hey, yeah, we did well under Frank. And yeah, you could even, like, for obviously that certain period when we was the top of the league on December 5th and the most goals scored and least goals conceded and everything else. And you could argue that the kind of level of opponents is roughly similar, under these first 6 games under Thomas Tuchel. You could say that, but obviously Tottenham. So, there's different ways of looking at it. Yeah, you could say, I did kind of hope for more goals and more attacking, free-flowing football under Tuchel. That's what we were promised when we signed him. But hey, you can't just expect that. You can't just expect that from one day to another. You can't expect the same from a manager that had 18 months as you expect or as you get from a manager that's not even been here for a month, like especially when we've had a game every week. And I said this under Frank as well after the Man City game when we had the Luton game. It was no Morecambe game and then the Fulham game when we had no midweek games and expected a bit of an improvement with those weeks of training. Sadly, that didn't come. Now we have a little bit of that right now between now and Southampton. I say that they also get 2 days off. So actually we have the same amount of training as we would if we, had a game every 3 days, I guess. But 2 days off is also good, especially with the, tough run of fixtures coming up. So I don't know. I think we should just stay positive and big up the positivity, because there's no need for being overly negative, because when things go badly again, we'll all be negative plenty anyway. So no need to be negative already when things are good.
No, I hear that as well. And I don't say this as a case of trying to find negative points in what is a really good run of form as well. I don't think that's the case for either of us, but it's the same case of just being a bit more relaxed and just don't get as gassed as you lot did back in November, because even for our sakes and by our expectations, we got hella gassed in that November period. And I don't blame us. We do the exact same thing again and again and again. I don't care. Like, we were going to be gassed this season regardless, especially with the way we went into the season with the transfer window, how great our squad was. There was plenty of reasons for us to be optimistic. The only thing that we're saying is don't fall into the same trap again, because look at the teams that we have beaten, like other than Tottenham, of course, because that's our first top 6 win this season. Wolves, we drew to them, but we lost them under Lampard. Sheffield United, we beat them, but we beat them as well in that streak. What was it? The Newcastle game as well, another team that we beat in that streak. Burnley, another team as well. It's the same recurring pattern against the smaller sides, or in another word of saying it, the teams that sit deep against you guys, which is why I can see us getting wins and everything, and it's good for the confidence boost and everything like that, and that's cool. But same way, we haven't faced too many different sorts of teams yet. I think the only different team that we faced is Sheffield United, and that makes me optimistic in itself, because we were still able to go and get a victory in that game anyway. But I need to see more.
Can I just interject? Because I want to just say, just small point. Yes, we played similar teams, but every single one of them was in a completely different form than they were when we played them in that November period. Like Burnley were, with our win, we put them bottom. They're not anywhere near the bottom now. They're actually in good form, and we're in good form when we played them. The same goes for Sheffield United. They finally started winning games, and we're actually in good form. And even though they lost to West Ham yesterday, even David Moyes said that wasn't a 3-0 game. You know, they played all right. Just West Ham took their chance and Sheffield United didn't. So that is a little bit different in that sense, that, you know, you can play the same teams, but they were in a very different type of form than they are now. So you have to, I at least rate it a little bit higher because of that, because form does play a part. But of course, you know, say 2-3 months, no one will care about that anymore if we drop off again. But that's why it gives me a little bit more positivity looking at it in hindsight. Obviously, back then I was getting gassed anyway. But now that we have the thing of hindsight, that's why I'm a little bit more positive than maybe I would be if they were still in dreadful form when we beat them.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And I think it's the Sheffield United game and the Tottenham games that make me feel a bit more optimistic. Sheffield United, I already said, they gave us a game, unlike any of the other teams that we played. Spurs as well, even though they were absolutely terrible, it's just more from a confidence point of view that we've actually managed to go and get a win against the top 6 side, and that's no longer hanging on top of our heads. So those are two things that you can look at in a more positive note. But same way, I do want to see how Chelsea perform in a tougher run of games. If we can go past the next 2 weeks, Atletico Madrid, Manchester United, Leeds United, Everton, those sorts of games, and then we can go and get big results in those sorts of games too, then I can really start getting gas. But Craigo, just as well, if you want to add to any of the points.
Yeah, no, a lot of people seem to think that I'm very negative about it, and the reason I'm not negative, if anything, I'm happy. I still just think, you know, if we brought Thomas Tuchel in, the standard has been set by those above, and it's been set to all of us as fans, as players, as managers, and whatever, is we need to be getting top 4. So I'm not, you know, I'm happy that actually my big thing under Frank is that certain players weren't pulling their weight, and there were certain player performances, that although even Frank Lampard had his faults and whatever, certain player performances really didn't support the manager. And I'm starting to see those positive performances now. So it is a really good thing. And although it's not perfect, I mean, someone like, for example, Hakim Ziyech has been completely, you know, disappeared really in the last kind of 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it's been, that Tuchel's been in charge. Has it been 4 weeks? 4 weeks, isn't it?
Not even that. I think it's 3 because we had all these midweek games, didn't we? Yeah.
See, it feels like that long because I've been enjoying it. Yeah. That's the thing. I like what I'm seeing. I still want to see a little bit more, which is why I said to you, I'm going to make my judgment after the Man United game, because again, we've had some sort of, tougher opponents back to back. And, you know, to be fair, I mean, in this run, Spurs have been the anomaly, the one top 6 side that we've played, where with Atletico, was even Southampton, to be fair, a genuine challenger for top 7, not top 4 anymore. Southampton on Saturday, plus then Man United, Atletico Madrid, Everton, teams that generally are going to cause you a threat. I looked at Man City. I can't remember who they played back-to-back a few weeks ago. They played 2 very tough teams basically next to each other. Might have even been us and someone else. I can't think. But they dealt with it completely. And I'm not one of these people who say Chelsea, the absolute standard has to be we have to win all those games, and then I'll make my opinion. But I just want to see better performances, because that's what we've struggled, regardless who the manager is. We've struggled at many a time. Can we see the best out of Ziyech? Can we see the best out of Pulisic, who's been suffering with various different things and either like family issues and injuries and all sorts? Can we see the best out of these players? So I'm happy that what I've seen so far, and I'm not going to give my full judgment until after the Man United game. But Lawrence is right. Burnley are a lot different teams when we face them back in October, I think it was. Sheffield are not a bad side. We all saw that anyway. They just can't put the ball in the back of the net, very much like us. If we can start to do it a little bit more and win games and start to build up some sort of momentum, and I keep saying the word trend in the right direction until you're trending so much you're a hot topic regardless. That's what I want to see. And we are trending, we are going in the right direction, but we're not there yet. That's my only thing. So I'm all up for being positive, because football is about both positives and negatives. You don't only support the club when you're crap. You don't only support the club when they're winning. You enjoy both sides of it. That's what we do as fans. So I'm enjoying certain bits. I was enjoying the game last night, but still I've got to be there and think, well, we won 2-0 last night, but we were 2-0 up in the first half. If we'd have gone and got a third goal or maybe even a fourth goal, then I'd have been really happy. So it's just that next level that I want to see, which is what I really am passionate about getting out of Chelsea, because we can do it. We've got the players to do it and the squad to do it, but it's just the physically doing it. So let's enjoy it whilst it's here, but let's also not forget that what could have been as well. Because if that was Man City, for argument's sake, of course they're top of the league, so they should be basically where you're admiring and you're aspiring to be, I should say. They'd have gone and whacked 6 past them last night. And that's the bottom line. So it's good, but let's not all go, oh my God, this is the finished product, because it's really not. We've had 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it's been.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this as well, and this isn't necessarily even to put you on the spot, to be honest. It's based on some of the stuff I've been reading on Twitter. Like, you were Lampard in, especially to the end, and there's nothing wrong with that as well. We're not trying to put you on the spot based on that, but some of the things I've been seeing on Twitter today, based off the last few games as well, they're saying, personally, there's been an emotional disconnect to the club since Lampard left. They're not feeling the same regards to the results, and I wanted to get your points on it, because you were supporting Lampard to the end, but you're enjoying the football now as well. So for me, it's like I'm struggling to understand the mindset, because you know me. I've already said, I'm Chelsea FC. I don't care too much about the managers. Jose Mourinho's second sacking to me was like the big heartbreak one, and since then, I haven't really cared too much about managers coming in and out since then. But what are your thoughts on some fans saying that there's an emotional disconnect between them and the club still now with Frank Lampard leaving, and they don't feel the same with games and wins now?
I think it's what's going on at the moment. I think a lot of people's emotions are heightened, and a lot of people are really looking for positivity. And I think it was almost to a certain degree. I don't know who's been tweeting it. I can't really see that, to be honest, on my phone. But yeah, no. But I mean, basically, in a nutshell, I think a lot of people were really enjoying seeing Frank Lampard's Chelsea go and do whatever we were doing. Because of obviously what's come before, and it was almost like a little bit of nostalgia. It's like rewatching highlights of your favorite game. It's trying to be uplifting and positive. I love the semi-final against Tottenham where we beat them 4-2. Matic scored a screamer at Wembley. I love that game. It's one of my favorite games to watch. But I think a lot of people kind of flick back, and when they saw Lampard at Chelsea and whatever, it was almost like the good old days when it was really fun and it was really this and it was really that. And I can understand that the change of manager, it's very different. But again, look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's not one that I share. Again, I'm Team Chelsea, but regardless what people think, I really enjoyed seeing Lampard in charge, and I really wanted it to work out. And I'll still stand by the fact that many players I don't think were pulling their weight in many regards. in terms of performances. Not all of them, but certain ones weren't, and I still think certain ones aren't at the moment. But I want to see Chelsea win games. That's the bottom line. Lampard was winning us some games. We went on a bad run of form. And basically, I think for me, one of the main reasons I supported Lampard right until the end is because I saw what he could do. We beat Man United last year. We beat Liverpool. We beat Man City. We beat Tottenham twice. We beat Arsenal. We beat all these teams last season. And although it didn't work out this year, Lampard's job has been made very different this year with new signings and whatever. You know, I will never forget, and I think we all should never forget what Lampard did in this 18-month spell that he's had with piss-all managerial experience, with a transfer ban, a load of kids. He's brought in some really, really good players into the first team, which is a real positive. And I think a lot of people are going, Lampard's crap because of the last 3 months. And people are kind of getting emotionally connected to that rather than to what they should be emotionally connected to, which is a really, really solid performance from Lampard to get the youth team into the first team and really start to kind of blend it in, I suppose. You know, yes, the performances weren't good enough. There's so many different factors, but Lampard's gone now. You know, whether we like it or not, you've got to support Chelsea. That's my personal opinion. If you want to look back on it and you want to think about the nostalgia, then look back. Don't dwell on the last few weeks and whatever. You know, I keep seeing people say that I wish that Chelsea got relegated and we won the championship with Frank Lampard, which is complete shit. Of course I wouldn't. But I think people want something to support. And I understand maybe their argument in wanting to support Frank Lampard and he was one of us and whatever. But he's gone now, regardless whether you like it or not. So let's just continue to do it. And I think that for me, I've approached this with a completely open mind. You know, I like the three at the back. I've always liked it since Conte played it at the Euros, where I was first kind of exposed to it. And of course, he did it with us a few months later. Let's just go. Let's go and enjoy it. Let's see some good performances. You know, one person for a particular instance, I don't think was playing that well under Lampard is someone like Timo Werner. Even I can say that he was struggling with form. You don't quite know what the relationship was. Pulisic as well, struggling little bits and bobs. I want to see a little bit more from him. Timo, I started to see that last night. So I was like, oh, yes, I really am happy. And if you saw my Instagram, I posted my reaction on Timo scoring today because I really am happy that, you know, that he's got on the score sheet and that he's done his bit. But you've got to support Chelsea for now. I support Chelsea 10 years ago. But 10 years ago is 10 years ago. It's gone, you know, like exactly 3 months ago is gone, you know, when Lampard was top of the league. That's gone in the past. It's still relevant at the moment, of course, it's only 3 months ago. But if you're, you know, our job as supporters is to support the club right now, whether it's hard times, good times, whatever, is to support. So I honestly, I wasn't really aware of the kind of people that are really saying that they feel disconnected and whatever. And maybe it's just that, again, it's heightened emotions, which is completely understandable because of what's going on at the moment. But yeah, I mean, that's their personal opinion. It's not one that I share. But yeah, no, it's, for me, you've got to support your team because, you know, especially for me, big advocate for mental health. Football helps mental health. And the fact that Chelsea are now 6 games unbeaten, that's got to be doing something for you. And it kind of baffles me that certain people still aren't feeling that way. But, you know, it's their opinion. It's not one that I can really, you know, criticise or whatever. But in my personal opinion, I think you should be supporting the team regardless. Go in with an open mind because Tuchel's doing some good stuff, playing free at the back. We haven't conceded. That's always a positive. Let's look at the positive sides of it. Although for me, again, still the standard that I want to set. But I don't know. I'm not too sure about those individuals because I can't speak for them on their behalf. But it's something that I don't understand. I can say that.
It is definitely weird, isn't it? Sorry to interject because I have a few thoughts on that as well because I don't really, I just don't get it. Like you boys both know George, if you remember him from back in the day in certain WhatsApp groups and that. Yeah. And you know, I'm not sure if you'd have. Sorry.
90 Min George.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you follow him on his Instagram, and this isn't like slating him or whatever. But when I see him posting like Insta stories, whenever the lineup comes out and saying, "Why is there 4 defenders on the bench? Why isn't Gilmore in the squad?" I'm like, bro. First of all, Lampard's done that on a number of occasions, and secondly, we're winning. We've won our last 5 games. Like, stop complaining about the lineup.
Isn't that literally the Leicester match?
Yeah, and not even just the lineup, the bloody bench. You're making Tuchel saying, like, sort out your bench. I'm like, there's much bigger issues than sorting out the bloody bench. Like, we only have 3 subs as it is. Maybe if we had 5 subs, I'd see a bit more of a moan about the bench. Fair enough. But we only have 3 anyway. So stop moaning about the bench. And the whole idea of saying, I like Chelsea less now, or I support it less, or whatever. I get emotional attachments or whatever. But people need to understand that if Chelsea weren't as ruthless as we are,
we wouldn't be where we are.
They wouldn't love Frank Lampard as much as they do. Because without the ruthlessness back in the mid-2000s, we wouldn't have had the success with Frank Lampard as a player as we do. If we didn't sack Villas-Boas, we wouldn't have won the Champions League, which is the big thing. The Frank Lampard captained us to a Champions League. We wouldn't have done that if we weren't ruthless to Villas-Boas. And I'm not saying compare Villas-Boas to Lampard. I know it's a different story. But still, like, there's no need to be negative against the club just because you support Frank Lampard. Like, I'm not telling like anyone what to do. The only thing I am telling people to do, if you preferred it with Frank, fair. But don't criticize Tuchel and the club for things that, you know, you can't control and you accepted for the last 15 years. And just because it's Frank now, you're not happy with it. For me, it's actually weird because I didn't celebrate goals more. Obviously, we haven't really conceded other than their own goal by Rudiger. But what I had on the Frank is because I wanted him to do well so badly, kind of when we lost and when we conceded, that was just harder than I presume it will be now. Obviously, we haven't lost and we haven't really conceded much. But that was, rather than that I celebrated goals more, it was just like when we didn't score and when we lost, and that just hurt more, like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I just can't back that opinion and whatever. Like, it's, yeah, I mean, I do have the advantage of being, you know, German being my first language, so that helps in pronouncing a name. But anyway, yeah, I just don't see where that comes from. Like, you can't. If people have a go at the club, fair enough. Don't stop it from you supporting the club because they're not the people playing on the pitch. And also, especially don't go against Tuchel. Like, he had absolutely zero to do with that decision. Okay, maybe if he wasn't available and if there was no good managers available, maybe we wouldn't have sacked Frank. Yeah, you can see it from that perspective. But that's definitely not what, you know, Tuchel was thinking when he got sacked by PSG. Oh, now I can get rid of Lampard at Chelsea. Definitely not.
It's not, is it?
No, exactly. So I really don't see where that idea comes from and why that is the case. Like, just be happy that we're in better form right now. Yeah, of course, I was also upset when Frank got sacked. I wasn't quite as far in the Lampard in camp as Ian was or as Craigo was. I also wasn't quite as far into the Lampard out camp as other people were. I was still kind of on the fence until the Leicester game. The Leicester game kind of like, even though it wasn't a personal decision that I want Frank on now, I just knew it would happen now. And I was just surprised that it didn't, and it took until after the Luton game, quite frankly. But we just have to accept what's going on. And like what Ian said, you know, you have to, mental health is a big thing. And football can have a very positive, but also a very negative effect on mental health. And I think each individual controls to some extent how much of a positive and how much of a negative effect it has on you. So try to just let the positivity affect you more than the negativity. What does it help you in life to be upset now for the next 3 months until you get over Frank? Like, it's not like a breakup that is like in your day-to-day life. I mean, maybe for some people it is like that, but still, it doesn't help anybody now, does it? Like, just be positive. There's no need to have all this negativity about. Just be happy. We won 5 games in a row. We're back in the top 4, and things are just good right now.
Exactly that. And to be honest, this is half the reason why I'm also glad that we are still in this lockdown phase where we don't have fans in grounds, because I've said sometimes fans as a group, we can be too emotional for our own damn good. Like, I've been seeing match-going fans like calling Tuchel Tottenham Tommy and everything because of, you know, those quotes they got caught saying back in Dortmund about, yeah, they're holding that against his head and everything. That, and then you combine with the guaranteed 8-minute Super Frankie Lampard chant that you'd know would be going around for the rest of the season. I feel like we'd be putting too much negativity on Tuchel's head, which is why the thing of us being in lockdown right now, it also gives him a chance to like prove to them that, look, okay, Lampard's gone and everything, but I'm here. It's a different phase. We can try and turn things around. Just try and be by my side until we come back as well, because I don't think he'd be given those same opportunities or the same level of chance that Frank Lampard would have as well. Big up for the donation, mate. He said Frank was not ready to coach a big team. Tactics were bad. And to be honest, no Chelsea fans had confidence when he was coaching. I'll say there were Chelsea fans that still had confidence in him, but like I don't want us to keep going round and round in circles.
Yeah. I wouldn't agree with that one, but there we are.
Yeah, Lampard's gone now. It is what it is. I really want to echo the same thing you said, Craigo, where it's like, it was like Lampard's what he's done for Chelsea in the last year and a half. Yes, we haven't won any trophies, but look at the mess that we were in coming out of the 18-19 season. I love Maurizio Sarri, but even I think with the squad that he has, also with the stubbornness that he has as a manager, I believe in second season Sarri. I screamed that to the death, but with that Chelsea squad, even I don't think he would have done that. And I don't think he would have been given near enough the same amount of chances that Lampard would have had as well. So he's come in, he's stabilized the ship, he's left us with a better team than he previously joined us with by a mile, and it's perfect for Thomas Tuchel to walk in. If Tuchel goes and takes us to numerous trophies, he's like the Claudio Ranieri in this, in my opinion, and he's still going to have to deserve his credit for this one in general anyway. But let's try and move towards the Chelsea game as well. First place I wanted to talk about was the left wing-back position, because we had a couple questions asking about Ben Chilwell and how he gets himself back into the squad. And I need to give Marcos Alonso his props in this game as well, and Thomas Tuchel as well. Because I've said the only way I'm not going to be worried about Marcos Alonso is if we can perfectly hide his deficiencies. And you know what? We're doing that, and we're doing that excellently. I was noticing the runs that him and Timo Werner were making a lot. Like I've said, I don't like Timo Werner at left wing, but with Marcos Alonso making them in runs into the center of the box as well, it made him a lot more of a threat in the final third as well. And I think he had the most shots, most crosses per game as well. It was another good, promising game from him going forward.
Yeah, it was a good game from him, and I'm actually not sure about Ian's thoughts on Alonso, but I know Lewis and myself agree that he just ain't it. But at left wing back, and if the opponent doesn't attack us like crazy, he's a good player. He's a good player to have. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Timo drifting out wide, and obviously Alonso had a lot of shots, and a lot of good shots actually. They just ended up being blocked, but they were all going for goal, unlike shots from other players, whether that was Werner, other than his goal, whether that was Kovacic, and even the Mount one. And this is no criticism of Mount, but he should have scored that one. Yes. Even if it's his weaker left foot, he should have. Okay, scored is maybe a harsh word, but get it on.
Should have definitely hit the target. Should have definitely hit the target. Even I'll say that.
Exactly, and Alonso would have done. Okay, they got blocked, but hey, sometimes that's what defenders are meant to do. So you can't expect the opponent not to block things. So he did good. And because obviously Dave earlier asked about Ben Chilwell, I think, for example, Atletico is probably a game where I'd prefer Ben Chilwell to Marcos Alonso to play, just because as much as Atletico will sit deep, and I looked through a few of their games yesterday, and against Valencia or Sevilla, when they won 2-0. Yeah, Sevilla. They beat them 2-0 and had 35% possession. And Sevilla had 3 big chances. Atletico had 1, but won 2-0. Like, that's what our games against Atletico will be like, hopefully with the scoreline being different. They will sit back. But we will also have to make sure that, we don't get beaten by them like crazy on the defensive side of things. And presumably now we will stick to the back 3. Obviously, by the way, Atletico also play a back 3, more often not. Weirdly, in some games, they don't really play wing backs. Last time out, they had Saul Niguez as the left wing back. And on the other side, it was Marcus Llorente, who are both kind of centre mids, but they were playing as the wing backs, which is a bit weird. Obviously, in other games, it's been
a really fat 5.
Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes it's been Vijalko and Carrasco as the wingbacks, which is more normal, right? But when it's Saul and Marcus Llorente, that confused me a little bit. Any which way. So they play a 3. I presume we will stick to a 3, whether Thiago Silva is back or not, just because we're used to that now. And I think, would Thiago be fit right now? I wouldn't have been surprised if we against Newcastle, against Southampton, would have tried the 4 to see if it's ready to use against Atletico. But I don't think he trusts the 4 without Thiago. And even if Thiago is back for Atletico, I don't think he will use it for the first time, to start for the first time. Obviously, we did it against Barnsley in the second half. I just don't see him starting it for the first time. As much as he's tactically very fancy and inept and whatever, I just don't see him going for it for the first time against Atletico. That would be a bit crazy. And then I just think Chilwell is just better defensively. And they won't cross anyway because they don't have any tall strikers. I mean, Suarez and João Felix aren't exactly tall now, so they're not going to beat us with the cross. They're going to try to counter-attack. And Chilwell is faster. Chilwell is better defensively. And yes, maybe it cost us a little tiny thing in the attacking front, in the attacking thirds. So you could make that case for him. But I also think that in a two-legged affair against someone like Atletico, it's very important not to concede. Because Atletico is so good defensively, if you concede against them, you're already looking very tough to beat them. So it's almost more important not to concede and then hope that you somehow get the goal rather than the other way around. Because once Atletico get their goal, it will be made even more difficult to score against them. So that's my thought. And yeah, Chilwell, I said this before, he hasn't really played left wing back in his career at all. So it's understandable that at this moment in time, with having 2 games in that position, he's not doing as well there as Marcos Alonso, who has played that, position in that formation more than 100 times. That's only obvious to me. Still believe overall Chilwell is a better footballer.
With that, all right, Craig, do you want to add anything to that as well?
Yeah, no, I was going to say my thoughts on Alonso is he's very slow, but unfortunately he has height, which is something that our squad really lacks at the moment, especially our starting 11. So having him in is good and great, but I probably would agree that, I can't say for certainty whether Chilwell should start, but it should at least be considered. I will say that. Because also as well, they are going to sit back. It looks like they're going to have a depleted squad due to people missing it through the old C word and having to isolate and different things.
Won't they be back by the time we play them, though?
Yeah,
not
Felix
sure.
is already back in training today.
Yeah, it's all about João Felix, but I'm not sure about some of the others as well.
Now, most of the others, they're already on the bench or the subs bench.
Oh, okay, so it's a little bit different. But either way, they are still going to try and counter-attack on us. And as much as I do like Marcos Alonso going forward, this is a game, completely agree with you, Loz, that if Chelsea concede, the job is 10 times harder for us. If we can go there and win 2-1, different matter completely. But it's going there and winning 2-1. They don't concede many goals. And at the moment, we don't concede many goals. But if any team's going to change that, it could be the likes of a Luis Suarez and Atletico Madrid, who could just go and bang 2 in against you in a heartbeat, and then it's just uphill climb. It's a bit of a weird one, but as much as I do like Marcos Alonso, I'd say he's the perfect footballer. It is wrong, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, Chilwell left back is still, a work in progress. To be honest with you, I think, left wing back for Chilwell is a work in progress. And even Chilwell at a left wing back at left back is still not quite where it should be at the moment. But again, that comes with time. But there is no denying that what in the future Marcos Alonso will do for Chelsea and what Chilwell will do for Chelsea, there is no comparison. I mean, Chilwell is going to win it all day long. Nothing against Marcos Alonso. He's just older. That's the way football works. He hasn't got as long at the club as Ben Chilwell has. So, I'm a bit kind of easy around either one of those two. Let's see what happens in the Southampton game, and if he does decide to play Chilwell maybe or change something up, I don't know. See what happens. But yeah, I wouldn't be against either one of those two starting from right now anyway.
Yeah, like you said, our defensive form has massively picked up over the last few weeks. Not really sure for the reasons why. But moving on to right wing back, who do you guys want to see start against Atletico Madrid? I do want to also talk about Callum Hudson-Odoi's performance against Newcastle, because another brilliant performance off the right-hand side for him as well. But would you guys want to see him start there as well against Atletico Madrid, or you'd want to go for more defensive solidity with Reece James?
Away, I would start Hudson-Odoi there. And then depending on the away result, depends on who starts there at home. Because away goals is still a big thing, even though the game isn't in Madrid. And that, to be honest, we should probably make as much of an advantage of that as we can. The fact that they're not playing in their stadium where they're most comfortable. And I think their flight is arguably probably longer to Bucharest than ours.
More than ours is, I think.
I heard like 2-3.
It's not that.
No, can't be.
It might be 2.
I think it's 2-3 overall.
Where is it?
It's Europe. It can't be that far.
Hang on.
Sorry?
Where is it? Bucharest?
Yeah.
Madrid to Bucharest.
But you get that up, and I'll just keep
3
talking.
3 hours, 45 minutes from Madrid to Bucharest, and from London.
And for us, probably 2.5, 3.
3 hours 10. There's barely any difference.
There you go then. Maybe if Chelsea just have faster planes than Madrid, who knows? Because we're richer. You never know. They might just be happy to use more kerosene, But anyway,
3.5 hours extra time. Who lied to me?
Yeah. I think they just meant full flight time for Atletico's 3.5 hours rather than 3.5 hours more.
It's not Baku, it's only Romania.
Yeah. It's still in Europe, still in the EU, and that England isn't, but that's
I think
why
you'll find that England was never in the EU, and it was actually the United Kingdom was in the EU. It was.
Sorry, bro. You're saying Scotland will come back, yeah? You're saying Scotland will come back. Let's not make a political discussion. I think away from home, Hudson-Odoi is maybe a good shout, because someone put it in the chat here earlier. Let me just find it. Basically saying, like, go for it away. A 3-2 loss is a good result. Trust me, a 3-2 will never happen against Atletico Madrid. Just not. Even though actually they had a 2-2 draw recently against Celta Vigo, I think. So if 2-2 is possible, maybe a 3-2 is possible. But I still think go for the slightly more attacking way away from home. And then if we get a good result there, be a bit more defensive with Reece James. And if we still need the goals, then go with Callum again, I would argue. And no, Callum Hudson-Odoi in the chat said Reece should play right centre-back. Absolutely not against Atletico Madrid. Like, you can't throw him in there in his first game in that position in God knows how many years since he last played it in the youth setup. Even if he's played it before, you can't just expect him to be as good as Aspie there, who's again had hundreds, or no, maybe not hundreds, but more than 100 games in that position under Conte and now. Like, he knows what he's doing there, and people need to stop disrespecting Aspie. Aspie's a really good right centre back. Then he's not that good as a right back. He's really not good as a right wing back, but he's a really good right centre back. And people need to appreciate that. And also the defensive awareness, the defensive positioning against someone like Suarez and João Felix. I don't really want to be putting Reece James in that position in his first game, in that role. Absolutely not. And I've said this a number of times. I've said it again. Reece James is my favourite player in this current Chelsea squad. But hey, I still want the best for Chelsea, and I don't want to just force him in for the sake of it. So once we go back 4, Reece James is a guaranteed starter anyway. And I hope we will go to a 4. Obviously, Ian, seems to like the back 3 a lot. I'm a bigger fan of the back 4.
I like both.
Yeah, okay, fair. So that's my thoughts. I'm not sure whether Ian agrees with the... I struggle so much to know what to call you, Ian, Craig, Craigo.
Well, for you, because I like you, you can call me Ian. I don't mind that. But for other people...
I've known you for years, but whenever I'm streaming, I just get used to just calling you Craigo the whole time. It's a madness.
Well, I officially announced my name on TikTok yesterday, so, I mean, the secret is out there. It's not that deep.
I haven't been able to drop it first on here. Can't be asked.
To be fair, AFTV had the chance to do it, and they spelled my name wrong. Didn't ask me, so,
we were guilty of that on 100% Chelsea too. I can't lie. We've all taken our ours. Oh yeah, who?
Who? Never heard.
Lawrence ain't even responded to the name.
But go on. Would you start Callum or Reece?
I'm looking at my computer at the moment just because I really wanted to see what their team was looking like. Because truthfully, I haven't seen a lot of Atletico Madrid the last couple of weeks. But they're missing. I never know how to say his name. Is it Gimenez or Jimenez?
Jimenez, I think.
It is Jimenez, isn't it?
But I think with accents and everything, so I could be wrong too.
Well, yeah, you call him Tuchel. I mean, even I know that's wrong. I don't claim to be the pronunciation king, but I know Tuchel is not right.
No, I already know I ain't the pronunciation king. It took 4 months to get Werner's name done right.
It's one letter. That was all you were struggling with. One letter. No, I've looked at their team, and I mean, without Jimenez, I don't know. Their team looks a lot different. So maybe it might not be the worst choice in the world to play Reece James as the right wing back. Hudson-Odoi has been so good; he should not be included. If that makes any sort of sense. He's clearly very, very decent. Defensively, haven't really seen enough of him, to be honest with you, in the 3 at the back with the wing back system, because we haven't really been tested in the same way. So maybe again, Carrasco could potentially go there. It depends a hell of a lot on who Atletico Madrid are going to play, and they've still, of course, got a game next weekend. So it could look very different. But also with Trippier being out and suspended, as I assume he still is. Let's assume that didn't get overturned, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
He should still be out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a right wing back. It could be an opportunity for someone to play left wing back, who's a little bit different. We saw Callum Hudson-Odoi very often has gone over there to cover for people. Could we see maybe him on the left hand side? I don't know. I probably think no, but is something that we could consider, because that is not a weak point of theirs, but defensively, that could be where they struggle. And at least then you know that you've got the pace, being able to go back. It could go in your favour. I don't think it's too deep, truthfully. But yeah, I don't think it's too deep. But I personally would probably play Hudson-Odoi, but I could be very understanding of playing Reece James. And again, the home leg, depending on what the score is, if we manage to somehow win 2-0 or something like that, which is highly unlikely but not impossible, maybe we park the bus a little bit more, I don't know, and play Reece James, and it's a lot more defensively set. Plus being able to, of course, go forward. Because let's be honest, in terms of being a defender, Reece James is better than Callum Hudson-Odoi. That's the bottom line. Yeah, I'm a bit I'm a bit easy, I think, to be honest with you. It's a kind of like, well, let's see what happens. You know, let's try and take the game to them, but let's also let's not forget. I mean, the only reason they finished second in their group is because they played against Bayern Munich. So, you know, different draw, and it's a very different look. But these are essentially a pot one side.
Sorry to just jump in there, because their Champions League group is weird, because if they were so close to losing to Salzburg at home, so close, and Salzburg kind of bottled that. And even at home, even though I think Atletico won 2-0 in Salzburg had sitters to score 4 or 5. Like, Atletico have been really good in the league, and obviously I think they lost to Real Madrid, and that's the only defeat, I think. But other than that, they've been really, really good. But in the Champions League, they've I know they beat Salzburg in the end on both occasions, but that was close. And hey, I'm Austrian, and Salzburg is good and whatever else. They're not Chelsea. Like, all right, they're not Chelsea. They might go even more all guns blazing and whatever else in their terms of counter press and attacking, that maybe we won't actually create as many chances as Salzburg will, just because we're a bit more hesitant. But if Salzburg can almost beat Atletico, we can beat Atletico. Of course, this is a few months ago now, so you know it's a different situation. I do just want to say this though: if Hudson-Odoi doesn't start right wing back, he has to start up front. He has to start in one.
Completely. Yeah, completely. He plays. Yeah,
completely. I was locally interested in him at left wing back because we were talking about the interchanges between Marcos Alonso and Timo Werner, and the one thing I noticed as well is the crosses weren't really like lofted crosses either. They were all like low crossing from Timo Werner, and I'm thinking, okay, if you get Hudson-Odoi on the end of those, you could possibly end up improving his end product as well as a result of it. Because the one thing we were saying about him at right wing back yesterday, he looked great. And no one's going to sit here and say he was bad in any way, shape or form. But I feel like you get him on the left-hand side, you get a bit more end product out of him as well. And that could just make him even better and get him into even bigger level as a player.
He likes to cut in a lot. And he did it yesterday, but because he was on his left foot, he didn't have the same end product. You get him on his stronger right foot, cutting in from the left. Dual threat. Timo going outside, him coming inside. It's causing chaos, which is what, to be fair, Marcos Alonso has done well in the last couple of weeks by coming, especially last night where he came inside a little bit more. But we've got to cause problems for the other team. Obviously, in this case, it's Atletico. We have to cause problems for them. And having a dual threat of having Werner and Hudson-Odoi, both of who can go outside, both of who can go inside, that's what Atletico could struggle to deal with. So it could make a lot of sense. But it's the kind of thing you try on FIFA, to be honest with you. You've got to work on it. If it's going to happen, we're going to see it against Southampton, just because they can get a real idea whether it works or not. But yeah, we've got to cause problems to him. And Hudson-Odoi has to play because he's going to be the one that causes problems. Whether it be along the floor, crosses, speed, whatever, he will cause problems to them.
Yeah, I just don't think we'll play a right-footed player at left wing back. I just don't see Tuchel doing that because that has a problem in itself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, if it works, then holy shit.
Yeah. More time, I was trying to bounce off you guys' heads to see what you lot were thinking.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just think also why we do it on the right side, why we are more aggressive there, is because Aspi plays the right centre back, who can, of course, do a mix of a right back and a right centre back, and kind of in defensive shape, other than when we really need to drop. And to be fair, Callum did that really good in a number of games already this season to drop it back. Even yesterday, he helped Aspi out a fair few times with Saint-Maximin. Obviously once even making sure that the ball doesn't go out for a corner, but for a throw-in and shit. So he's working his bloody socks off, and fair play to him. But obviously in a defensive shape, we're actually more of a 4-4-2 than we are a 5 anything, because Aspie kind of pushes over as a right back, and Alonso comes in as a left back. Just when we're really like pushed back, then Callum comes back to almost play as a right wing back more. But in general, Aspie just pushes to a right, and that's why it's Swift. And as fans sometimes get a little bit too caught up in the formation that's officially named at the start of the game, because formations are so flexible during games. Yes. Like I said, in defensive shape, it's very often a 4-4-2. Up front, going forward, it's arguably a 3-2-5. You could almost argue maybe a 2-3-5 with Aspie pushing into midfield every now and again. So it's putting it very simply to say, oh, we're playing a 3-4-2-1. Yeah, okay, but that changes all the bloody time. Out of possession, in possession. Are we getting countered? Are we countering ourselves? It changes all of the bloody time.
Yes.
Exactly. That FPL guy, I saw you saying about Carefree Youth saying something about Haaland. I haven't seen it still, so if you want to
I have seen it.
What is it?
What he said, that apparently talks between Chelsea and Mino Raiola, obviously Haaland's agent, have gone very, very well. Not saying that Haaland will join us necessarily, but talks with Raiola have gone very well, and that Raiola is very impressed with what we're doing at Chelsea, and that he would happily have some of his players play for us because he sees a very good project, and he has no issue with working with the club, that kind of thing. So there is a positivity there, and when you are talking to Raiola players, being on good terms with Raiola is a big part of why you could possibly manage to snatch up a Mino Raiola player. For example, that's one of the big reasons why Manchester United will definitely not get him, because Raiola is pissed off with Man United over the Pogba situation. Yes. United will not get Haaland. Even if they tried, they won't. And I know the City thing, I still can't see Haaland playing under Pep Guardiola. I just don't see him as a Pep player. So unless the Spanish clubs start forking out money...
It sounds like they're in for Lukaku, to be honest, now. Which is even madder in itself. Apparently, I'm hearing Lukaku to Man City rumours getting stronger and stronger.
Again, I don't see
United fans be so rattled.
Do you see his first touch under Pep Guardiola? No chance.
No, I'm just thinking though that if we see De Bruyne and Lukaku together in light blue, I'm gonna have a fit and just start raging over 2014 again. Just be like, Jose, man, you had them both in the palm of your. No, let me not speak too much. But yeah, Haaland looking a bit more optimistic then, I'm guessing.
I guess a little bit like that. Yeah, like I said, my opinion is either he stays at Dortmund for another year or the Spanish somehow fork out money. God knows how, but I don't see him going anywhere in England other than us, personally. Because I don't think he will go to United for the Raiola reasons, and I don't think Pep wants a striker like Haaland. It just doesn't suit Pep football, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Pep will make sure that someone like Haaland, because of how good Haaland is, will fit him in. But with how I see Pep Guardiola football, we know what happened with Zlatan, right? At Barcelona. We all know how that went. And so I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening.
How long has Pep got in his contract?
Didn't he just sign a contract extension last year?
He did sign an extension. Was it 2 years?
Let me check.
I think it might have been even 3.
Contract. It'll end 2023. It ends.
Okay, so 2-year extension. Is it worth buying Haaland right now for Man City when you know you're going to have Pep for the next 2 years? Because let's be honest, you're not going to sack him, are you?
Probably not unless he drops him down a cliff, and that's not happening.
So, I mean, is it worth for 2 years to go and get Haaland right now for Man City? Maybe not. I would probably agree with Loz saying that one looks not highly unlikely, but unlikely. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's an opportunity for us. It's what I keep saying. Just focus on us and what we can do. And if we can land someone like him that solves a lot of our problems in terms of scoring goals, Jesus Christ. That's what we need to think about. We need to think positives. I don't think he's going to go to Spain either because they can't afford him.
I will just say that on the Spanish ones, I mean, Barcelona and Real Madrid, they just get loans and debts just like let off or whatever the English wording is, and they get extra loans, however much they want. Like, especially Real Madrid, but also Barcelona, they might be in financial real trouble, but Spain have let them off a lot of times. Like Real Madrid were let off just 300 million euros of debt a few years ago. or was Barcelona one of them? So that just happens in Spain. And if Real Madrid haven't signed anyone for like 3 or 4 years, no, actually since Hazard, and before that they didn't sign anyone either. So I think if Real Madrid really want to, and especially if Real Madrid managed to get rid of Bale, get rid of Isco, I don't think it's totally out of the question that they fork out the money for him. I think for Madrid, it's just a question they actually want Mbappe. But can they fork out that money? So yes. I don't think financially, if Real Madrid really want someone, they will somehow need to make it happen in Spain.
If Real Madrid want anyone, they want Mbappe, and that's going to cost them, very simply, probably north of 150 million euros, probably looking closer to 200 million. Might even break a world record. But
oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, the guy's young, the guy's talented, the guy's marketable, the guy's a brand-friendly player, the guy's a joke, Mbappe. Between potential nightmare Erling Haaland that might not fit your style and your system and whatever, or Kylian Mbappe, who is, I think, the same age, might be a year older, and is this marketable god, basically, when it comes to him and what Real Madrid could do, it just makes a hell of a lot of sense. So I don't see I don't see either one of those two being a massive problem. The only one maybe you could see it happening would be Barcelona, but in that case, they've got to sell on Antoine Griezmann, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, or if Messi leaves.
Yeah, but isn't Messi?
But then does he want to go there
anyway?
Sorry,
Lewis, even in the summer anyway.
I don't see that as 100% guarantee.
Yeah.
No, but I thought this whole thing of the last 6 months that he wanted to go, and like now Barca's form has fallen off a cliff, and half the reason for that is because Lionel Messi's had half of his head out the door anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is that actually,
because I haven't seen a lot of La Liga this season.
I've actually watched a fair bit of Barca recently, and Messi's turning it up these days. And as a team spirit-wise, they look right on it again. It doesn't look like there's much discontent between the squad at all, personally, just from what I see, right? And I wouldn't be surprised at all if Messi just signs a new contract. Also, if you know that you get 100 and God knows how much million as a sign-on bonus, if you do extend your contract, and 75 million euros as a loyalty bonus because you've been there for another how many years? Hey, you think about it. I'm telling you, if signing a new contract, that will probably put you in even more wages than he's already on, and get you 175 million just by itself because you extend the contract. Hey, you think about it. I'm telling you, you think about it.
He's setting himself up for life, and it makes complete sense. It makes complete sense.
He's not just setting himself up
like grandkids up for life at this point. The amount of money that this guy's probably had.
It's a man setting all of Argentina up for life. Do you know what I mean?
At least his town or some shit. Rodrigo, thank you for the donation. He said, "Where would Havertz play if we get Haaland?" Right now in this formation, I'm not too sure, but I feel with Thomas Tuchel, if we end up getting Haaland, we probably will end up changing formation as well. But it's more of a question for what we would do if we end up switching to a back four, because right now as a back five, I think you could have him would you have Havertz play potentially as a left or right forward in that case, if it was in the 3-4-2-1 formation? Because if it's a 3-4-1-2, it speaks for itself. You just have him in behind the two strikers. But if we're playing 4 at the back, or if we're playing the 3-4-2-1, it paints a lot more questions. But I think with Havertz, you're going to find a way to get him into the lineup as well. I'm not going to be worried about, is Havertz going to be warming the bench if Haaland joins or anything, because I don't think that's going to be the case.
Where would Mount go then, if he would play him behind?
Yeah,
because
I've said this before. I think if we sign Haaland, over the next season, we would sell Werner.
Oh, you think Werner would be the sacrifice?
Yeah, because Haaland is a much bigger talent than Werner is. And this is no criticism to Werner. I just don't see, and that's where Rodrigo's question comes from. How do you fit Haaland, Werner, and Havertz into the same team? Yes, I know. If you play a three at the back, and you have Havertz as a right inside forward, a bit like when Mount played, he could that works, right? That works. But I still don't think long term we will play that personally. And I just don't see how you'd fit them in. And that's not even considering bloody Pulisic. And you know how big Pulisic of a role. Nah, I think he's too big of a market value in terms of the American market for us to ever sell him.
I don't know. Not too sure. If they're not playing him, then he's no use. That's the thing.
Oh yeah. No, but I still feel that he will come very good under Tuchel.
I mean, he bloody does. I hope he does.
Yeah, but don't you think another big thing in terms of keeping Kai Havertz would be keeping his best mate at the club too? That's what I'm thinking. I'm not too sure if we would end up having to sacrifice him. Maybe get less game time, but there's got to be a way that Tuchel would probably even be asked to by the board to incorporate all three of them into the same lineup, because we have literally seen with yesterday's lineup that board politics are still going to come into. It's like, Kepa, fair play, decent game. You're not going to sit here and tell me that he got given that match just because of the Barnsley game, because it wasn't even a man of the match performance. Exactly. He got given that game because we need to up his transfer valuation fee, and we need to make him look a bit more marketable to other clubs that we could potentially try and loan him to further up his valuation fee, or to sell him in general. That was not because of form. It was a huge risk. And to be honest, if we dropped points in that game, I would have been fuming as a result of it, because board politics would have yet again got in the way of results. So at the very least, we got the results too. But same way, I can see the board telling Tuchel, you need to find a way to incorporate Havertz, Haaland, and Timo Werner. That is a 150 million plus attack that we've got you. You need to make it work.
Yeah, but Pulisic cost more than Werner. Don't forget that.
Then you've got to find a way to make all four of them work. That's even
there you
more.
go. And that's why I think if we get Haaland, that's why I think Werner will be the one to suffer most from it. Unless Werner goes absolutely batshit crazy in terms of goal output. Unless he does that, I see him being the one that suffers most from that. Hey, maybe I'm wrong.
I just find it funny that all of us and we all completely agree. We're not even mentioning Hakim Ziyech. It's always like
he's 27. Obviously, he was not gonna like.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting that the guy that we only signed in the summer, we all agree is just going to be the guy that just gets fobbed off. Which and rightfully so, he should, because this is a long-term project. But it's one of those ones, because like the I don't know if you've ever tagged or titled your video to cater for people, particularly in North Africa, that's happened to love Hakim Ziyech. I don't know if you've ever done that and put in some lovely little foreign text, just like the Tottenham guys do with Song Kyung Min.
Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, do try. It's good fun.
I am now shamelessly adding that to my notes.
Yes, do. It's the same thing. It's the same, like one get a whole country basically behind you, and it's the new market. America's a little bit different because obviously it's massive, but it's the same, same kind of process. Basically, same way Man United are really successful in Asian because they had Park. Same thing. They had one of their basically their main player went nuts. Obviously, it all makes sense. But I find it very interesting that this very marketable guy particularly North Africa, which is a market that kind of is at the moment dominated by Mohamed Salah. But I mean, it's far.
I'll say Mahrez as well. Like, if you guys check
Mahrez as well.
Check my most viewed video. It's a random 2-1 vlog of a win against Man City, literally just because I got the Mahrez goal tagged in, and half the comment section is just Algerians. Big up the Algerians as well, because 100k plus views. Big up you, man. But same way, your point just stands.
But yeah, it's the same thing. You want to have a little bit of hype and whatever, and it opens you up to different markets. I probably don't agree with Loz, and I would probably say that Havertz might be the one that potentially gets not fobbed off. That's the wrong phrase, but I think that Chelsea brought him business-minded. If we could even get half what we kind of wanted to get out of him and then sell him on, it might make more sense, and it might fund the transfer of Haaland. But yeah, there's a lot of good players in this Chelsea squad. And again, this is a squad in transition, and it has been for 2 or 3 years. Even when we won Europa League, it was basically stopping from Conte and coming right the way through to where we are at the moment. But yeah, next season will look very different. Again, we will look very different. So there's a lot of different problems that could occur, and a lot of good problems, but also as well ones that you've got to take gambles on. And at some point you've got to pull a trigger. Do you know what I mean? It's almost as if you've got, what's the best way to explain? If you've got 3 versions of the same villain all in front of you, 3 of them are cardboard cutouts. 2 of them are cardboard cutouts. One of them is real, but they all look exactly the same. You've got one bullet. You've got to pull the trigger on one of them. You could be right. You could be wrong. You've got absolutely no idea. It's so hard to have to deal with. It's a good problem to have, but a lot of people seem to forget that this is, real life, and unfortunately these problems do occur, and one of them, whether it be your favourite player, does have to get pushed out the door.
I do think I think it'll be Ziyech if you have to pull the trigger.
I think he's going.
Yeah, because I'm seeing Ziyech or Pulisic, but the difference with Ziyech and Pulisic is Pulisic has the injury-prone tag next to his name. And you know exactly what Chelsea are like when it comes to outgoings. They want every penny back, as many as possible. And then they're not going to make profit on Pulisic, in my opinion, even if they tried to, which means they're going to hold on to him a bit more. You got to recoup that valuation fee. Ziyech was 36 million. You can get profit for Hakim Ziyech if you really wanted to. I could see him going for more than that easily.
Even he went for the same, it's not that deep.
That's not going to be much. And you know exactly what Chelsea are like. We are profit all the time. So Ziyech is probably going to be the one that leaves, unless it's still speculation. There's 3 or 4 months of the season left to go. For all we know, we could still turn it around. But if you had to say right now, it probably is Hakim Ziyech.
And this is all if we get Haaland.
Yeah, you see, that's why take everything what we're saying as a note, but as nothing serious, because we are looking into the future and we're trying to predict it. But predictions are it looks like it's going to be Hakim Ziyech. 2 final thoughts before we head out and end the stream. First thing I want to talk about was David Alaba now basically confirming that he wants to leave Bayern Munich and that his options are still open. And we're not going to talk about it too much because I still don't think it means too much in the grand scheme of things. He's still going to be asking for a massive wage if he joins, and I don't think Chelsea are going to be willing to break that wage structure. But what's you guys' thoughts anyway? Loz, we'll start with you.
It's a weird one, isn't it? I say a weird one. I mean, we've known for a while now that he will leave Bayern Munich. It's a case of where will he go? That's kind of the question. Let's say we know, but as in the public consensus and what, the biggest, most reliable journalists are saying is he wants Real Madrid. Just a question of will Real Madrid want him enough? And personally, obviously if Varane leaves, maybe. But they don't need a left back because they've got Ferland Mendy. And as a backup, Marcelo is still very good. And as centre-back, they've got Sergio Ramos and Rafael Varane. Of course, Ramos is getting on. He's also quite injury-prone. And Varane, without Ramos, is actually not that good. Not bad, but not as good as he is with Ramos. So as a centre-back, I could somewhat see it. And, they're paying Bale 600k a week. So they're not going to hesitate too much in paying Alaba 400k a week, I think. I don't know. I still don't see us going for Alaba unless we try to play a 3 at the back long term. Because Thiago Silva and Alaba is just way too short as a centre-back combination. You can't do that.
Yes.
Even more so in the Premier League. It's just impossible. So him as a left centre-back, he'd be unbelievable as a left centre-back in the 3. Probably the best left centre-back you could ask for in the world, I would argue, because that's his perfect mix of left-back and centre-back. But I just don't think we'll pay 400k for a player. And even though I've broken that down, and if you actually think about it, Chilwell actually isn't much more expensive than Alaba, or much cheaper than Alaba is. And in terms of playing ability comparison, you could argue, hey, if Chilwell's worth that, Alaba is definitely worth that. Some people will make the case, well, Chilwell isn't worth what we're spending on him. But so I don't think he'll come to Chelsea. I still think if he doesn't go to Madrid, he'll probably end up at Man City because Pep loves Alaba. And Pep loves a good ball-playing centre-back. And, with Laporte's injury troubles, having a centre-back 2 of Ruben Diaz and Alaba, Pep's jizzing all over the shop just at the thought of that.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I saw your breakdown on Twitter, and it makes a hell of a lot of sense about the wages and obviously no transfer fee, how it would help. I just don't think there's many clubs around the world that are going to be able to do it. And I think another club that could really do with a centre-half is PSG. Whether he would like to go there, I don't know. But he's already won the Champions League twice. Correct me if I'm wrong in that. He has twice. Yeah. 2013 and last year. Does he want to turn into what was the Brazilian geezer's name? Maxwell, fullback?
Yeah.
Won everything, most decorated player, in God knows how long and whatever. His trophy cabinet was ridiculous. Could you see the same kind of thing with Alaba maybe, where he goes and, almost trophy hunts, I suppose? It would make a hell of a lot of sense.
He's already won 26 trophies in his 13 years at Bayern.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So, yeah, it would make a lot of sense. But again, it's how many people are going to be able to afford him. I don't think Chelsea are on that list. Chelsea 5-10 years ago were probably on that list, but with the emergence of PSG and the superpowers that are Real Madrid and Barcelona, again they've got their own financial troubles, so I'm not too sure about that one. But they're paying Bale, was it 600k a week?
Yeah, 600k a week overall.
Plus, then also they paid 86 million for him transfer fee wise. It's a lot of money, so maybe it could go in their favour. I'm not too sure, but I can't see him being at Chelsea. And also as well, I've said it so many times, I feel like I'm going round and round in circles. We've got no height in our team at all, which is why we struggle to play against certain teams like Sheffield United. So, as much as I love him, you can't play him and Thiago Silva, and you definitely can't play him, Thiago Silva, and Dave as the back three. So, we look elsewhere. Look elsewhere, please, for God's sake. At least just have a little bit more height, because we will get done from corners constantly if we play with those three at the back. Plus, the rest of the team is how it is.
Yeah, I barely see the David Alaba to Chelsea rumours actually happen. I just wanted to go through it anyway because people are linking it to Chelsea. A lot of people are asking in the comment section, but I barely see it happening. And to the comment section as well, nobody is questioning the ability of Hakim Ziyech. We're just saying we have an oversaturated squad, and we know this. This is like one of the big things that Lampard struggled with, making everybody happy. And out of all the attackers that we have, Ziyech should be the biggest one that they could make a profit out of if they wanted to try and sell. Yeah. If Pulisic was Ziyech's price, like we'd be saying it'd be Pulisic that would be the one that'd be going potentially. But he's not, which is why it looks more likely if we had to get rid of one of them, it would be Hakim Ziyech. But that is nothing against him as a player.
There's also a reason why Ziyech was half the price of Christian Pulisic. And this is, again, no criticism of Hakim Ziyech and saying he's a bad player. But he came from Ajax. People need to understand that. And also, he doesn't own a right foot. Doesn't have it. So, that limits a player somewhat if you only have one leg. I know Ian Robben and Gareth Bale made a career with one foot, but still, he does only have one foot and he doesn't have a lot of pace considering with the way we play as a forward. And this is no criticism. And I actually think it depends on Ziyech's motivation. I think Ziyech could actually survive all of this, even if we get Haaland, as long as he's happy to be part of the squad, because Werner won't be. That's why I think Werner will be the one that suffers most, because Werner won't be happy to be on the bench and play every now and again. But I think Ziyech will be more accepting of that, hence why I wouldn't be surprised if he actually survives it.
Same thing with Pulisic. I think if Pulisic is, because he's already going to be number 10 for the American national team. We all know that for a fact because it's obvious. If he goes and sits on the bench at Barcelona and wins 20-odd trophies in the next 10 years, he doesn't really care because he already knows that he's going to be playing for his country and also he's going to be racking up so much silverware it's a joke. Hakim Ziyech is a little bit similar, but he might be a little bit more accommodating to take the reduced role than Pulisic would, in my opinion. But only time will tell. That's the thing. One of those two, it looks like he's going to sit on the bench. It's just a case of are either of them going to be happy, and if so, if it is only one, which one? But again, this is if, buts, maybes, things that we can't know right now, things that we will never know until it unfortunately happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think there's a lot to come from Pulisic. I still see a lot from him. And I also think Pulisic can play with Haaland and Havertz. That's why I think Werner, because that doesn't force us into such a specific formation, keeping Pulisic. And I think Werner does. Because Pulisic can play as a 10, Pulisic can play as a second striker, Pulisic can play as a proper left winger, Pulisic can play as a right winger. Werner has two positions, left inside forward or second striker. That's it. Yeah. And that's why Werner limits you way more than Pulisic. And he was cheaper than Pulisic, and Pulisic offers you a much, much bigger market than Werner does. So I think from all perspectives, unless Werner properly explodes and starts scoring for us the numbers that he did for Leipzig and gets 30-plus goals a season, I think that's why Werner will be the one to suffer before Pulisic will.
Fair enough.
Okay, cool. Well, as a final question before we wrap up, because Stuart was also asking this bear, what's everyone's expectations for the season at this point? Like, that's why I don't want to hold you like gunpoint to these expectations, but what are you guys hoping to see for the season? And then we'll end this up. Craig, I'll start with you.
Very simple for me. I want to see top four and I want to see a cup final. That's the same as what Frank did last season. been a little bit difficult, but that was the reason why Thomas Tuchel was brought in and they sacked Frank. So top 4 should be the standard.
And Loz, what about you?
Expectations is a difficult one. I think top 4 is certainly an expectation. I always struggle to expect cups because it's like, yes, I know Liverpool are out, and but still Man City is there. And we're not saying we expect us to beat Man City in the league. So why a lot of people said it, I'm expecting to win the FA Cup when Man City are still in it. That means you're expecting us to beat Man City, presuming they make it to the final and presuming we make it to the final. I don't think you can run around expecting that. Like, that's why. And personally, to Craigo, I would rather lose against Sheffield United than losing in the FA Cup final again, because I hate losing finals. Like, I just hate it. It's the same with the Champions League. I'd rather go out in the group stages than lose in the final. Like, we all know how 2008 went. I just can't handle that. So, and especially, obviously, thankfully, Arsenal are out, so at least we can't lose to them in the final. But whoever we lose to in the final, it won't be fun. Okay, Man City, maybe you'd accept because you say, okay, they're a better team than us. If we lose, it happens, right? A bit like the League Cup final. Obviously, the whole Kepa thing overshadowed everything, but you'd still accept losing to Man City. So maybe with them losing to the Cup final is okay. But yeah, top 4, I still think we are in the fight for second, depending on what Leicester do for the remainder of the season, because you could say maybe they learned from last season, but also we don't know. Until they've done it, we don't know whether they won't drop off the more confident they feel in making top 4. And Liverpool, I'm very confident will come back. So top 4 is not a guarantee for anything. And we have to keep winning. Like, I don't think we can afford more than 2 more losses from now if we want to make top 4, as crazy as that sounds, because I think Leicester, Liverpool, Man United, it will be tough to be in the top 4. I still think we will, but it will be tough personally.
Remember what I said to you, Lewis, right before the start of the season? Progress,
points.
I want to see points on the board. That's the bottom line. We finished with 66 last year and everyone moaned that we were crap. Let's go and get more than that. Let's go and get 70. Let's go and get 75. Don't know if that's possible.
Did we have that down? Is that 8 wins from 14?
I think it was 8 wins from 14 takes us to 66.
Yeah, 8 wins from 14. So we are looking for 8 wins as a minimum before the end of the season, and we say that as the bare minimum. That's what bare
minimum.
I do need to remember that, but that's exactly what we should be looking at. 8 wins, 9 wins plus. We move on. That is progress.
Should be looking for double figures plus.
Yeah, really should be, especially with the top teams that we played twice at this point. Have we played any?
Tottenham, that's it.
Yeah, okay, so we got another 5 big games at the very least to deal with. But, I mean, we got the new manager, we got the new system. That's exactly what we said we needed to make that turnaround. So we need to see those results on the board as well to justify that too. But guys, this has been a very interactive live stream. I've enjoyed this. We definitely need to do more of this. Guys, smash the like and subscribe button if you guys haven't done it already. Check out Craigo28 Football, Craigo28 Sports. Check out Lawrence's channel. We're back live on Lawrence's channel at 4 p.m. as well. So, guys, you ain't got to deal with us being gone for too long. We're going to be back in the space of 45 minutes. So, guys, check it out. Smash the like and subscribe button. Big up all you man who've been locked in the comment section. And we'll see you guys, in an hour. Take care and up the Chelsea.